Hello. I want to review just quickly what I'm doing here with all this stuff about the Alps in Switzerland. My subject is not the Alps in Switzerland. My subject is Roaring Spring. I'm using, I declared back a ways that Roaring Spring was the third most beautiful spot I'd ever seen in my life for human habitation, I thought. The first I have reserved. I'll tell you about it last. The second, the Alps in general. Uh, and, uh, and so I use that as an excuse to show you uh, what, if you go to the links, uh, how the Alps are just incomparable, as taken as a whole. Now, I never said that one single village or town in the Alps, or city certainly, is the equal of Roaring Spring, but as a whole, it's just overwhelming. And so I'm taking you around, but I'm trying to find connections, things that could be learned by Roaring Spring from these places I've seen. And the last place in detail, some detail, was Lucerne. Well, I mapped out where I'm going next. And just quickly, I'll start that. If you go from Lucerne south, you take a train up over the Brunig Pass, and that's where I suggested, I mean, if you were going to be traveling this, that would be my choice of a place to stay. Then if you go on down one way, you go to Trummelberg Falls, Sherlock Holmes fall to his death right there. Or if you take a bus ride, you go to Ballenberg. And I'm going to give you about 4 key words here. Ballenberg is Ballenberg, Ballenberg. And it takes care of itself. You can just type that in on YouTube, search, you'll see lots. If you want to see my take on Ballenberg, go to Frank's School, my YouTube channel, and then search or go to the playlist Ballenberg. That'll take care of itself. Lots to see. Then if you continue on, I'm going to pass up a chance to see the Eiger, the Munch, and the Jungfrau, enormously famous mountains. The Lauterbrunnen Falls, enormously famous. Going on in the train, and when we get to that second lake, Interlaken is in between them, in between the lakes, Interlaken, go past it. And there, when we come to a city called Spiez, S-P-I-E-Z, Spiez, there you take a train to the left, and now you're going up an incredibly beautiful valley. That train ride is called the Nordramp, the North Ramp, as the train climbs and climbs to be able to get through the mountain at the top. That's a train that was built basically to take British tourists to the Matterhorn in that area. Well, you go up the Nordramp, unbelievably beautiful. You go through a tunnel, not a long one, and when you come out on the far side, then you start down the Südramp, the South Ramp, and now you're in a different kind of a world, because north of the mountains, there's plenty of rainfall. South of those mountains, you're in a rain shadow where it very rarely rains. It's very sunny. That area is called, in French, Le Valais, in German, Wallis. I don't know what it's called in English. But anyway, it's the Rhone Valley. It's the upper Rhone Valley. And you take that train down, again, unbelievably beautiful, but in a different way, because now it's dry. Now it's dry. And how they get their water for their villages and cities and fields is through bisses. There's another key word, B-I-S-S-E-S if it's plural, bisses. In the north part of the valley, they're called Suonen, S-U-O-N-E-N, Suonen, because that's they still speak German there. And both of those key words. But coming down that south ramp, there's this little village of Ausserberg in German, Ausserberg in French. And that's where I have stayed different times. I was shown how special it was by a Swiss friend who took me there for the first time. Well, in that village, here's my principal keyword today, Ausserberg. If you will look up Ausserberg at dawn, D-A-W-N, at dawn, you will find my video of me walking around that little tiny village, high up in the Alps, above the Rhone Valley, starting at pretty dark. But then by the time I finish the second video, it's breakfast time and time to think about catching the train to head on as we go. Well, walking around that village, I think, is of worth to Roaring Springers, just because if you could imagine walking around Roaring Spring at dawn when people are just waking up, and you're not going to be bothering anybody if you stop and you look at the yards and the gardens and stuff like that. I've done that almost every time I've traveled. I get up around dawn. I very memorably, I did that in the Portuguese city of Lisbon, and I've documented all this stuff. So that's what I would say to do for the good of Roaring Spring, to compare Roaring Spring's situation with the situation of a small Swiss, beautiful village. To my knowledge, there are just 2 hotels in that. One down by the train station, the Bahnhof Hotel, where I've stayed, and the other one, I can't remember the name of it, a little bit of a fancier hotel a little bit further up and newer. That could be compared to Roaring Spring, because Roaring Spring would just be lovely to have 2 hotels down in there. All right, I'll give you some links, but I'm heading on because I want to finish with this. I've got to turn to other stuff. Bye for now.